qualifying for the StarCityGames.com Players Championship. Kevin is not starting off great, I'll say, on a mulligan to 5, while Jonathan has found 6 that he is happy enough with. Again, the winner of this match is going to play the winner of Danny Jessup and Colin Roundtree, as they are also going to be squaring off in a Esper Superheroes versus Sultai Dreadhorde mirror. We'll see if Kevin is happy enough with his 5-card hand. He will scry. That top card will become the bottom one now. And Hobbs will be on the play. Green light will be given. And let's watch some magic between these two players. Drowned Catacombs is where Hobbs will start. It's an overgrown tomb there for Kevin Thanakit. Glacial Forest with a little bit of flourish there from Jonathan Hobbs. No second land there for Kevin Thanakit. No third land for Jonathan Hobbs. Second land here for Thanakit into a Merfolk Branchwalker could mean there is the third. It's going to be a J-Light Ranger that's actually going to go in the graveyard. But now a little bit of pressure here for Kevin with the Merfolk Branchwalker.
And out ahead a little bit of the Planeswalkers too. It's a big deal.
In for 3 comes the Branchwalker. Now there's a Wild Growth Walker. Hobbs looks like he has another land in hand here and there in Swamp. You also find a copy of Despark there, though not great at this stage of things. Teferi is going to bounce a Wild Growth Walker, draw a card. Watergrave will enter the battlefield tap. Branchwalker is going to take care of that, but Teferi did some nice work there, finding Hobbs a land and setting back Thanakit a little bit. Overgrown Tomb is going to enter the battlefield untapped. Maybe. And yes, it will. So Thanakit's going to fall down to 18. And now this is a J-Light Ranger. Top card is a Forest. That'll go to hand. Next card is a Vraska Golgari Queen. We'll see where that's going to go.
Thanakit started off with 5 cards, but now is off the ground a little bit here. And more importantly, 2 creatures on the battlefield versus 0. Unlikely to be KO'd by just 1 Planeswalker here.
Back over to Hobbs we're going to go. 2 3-power creatures here on the battlefield for Thanakit. Means that no real Planeswalkers are safe. This will be Teferi. Teferi is going to plus, untap a couple of lands, and pass the turn back. Be a good time for a Cast Down or a Tyrant Scorn or some type of removal spell for Hobbs to keep the Teferi alive. Both these creatures are going to come into Teferi. Here is Cast Down. That's going to target the J-Light Ranger. Teferi is going to fall down to 2, but more importantly, the powerful Planeswalker is still on the battlefield here for Hobbs.
Yep, and that's the best setup you can really get with Teferi is play your 5 mana, draw your card, with 2 mana, interact with your opponent, kill spell or negate or some such, and then untap your Teferi ready to run away with the game.
Here's Tamiya. It's going to go up to 6. Thanakit's going to name a card. And it is unsurprisingly Nissa Who Shakes the World. No find there for Kevin. Teferi will allow Hobbs to draw a card. As we are preparing for some mid-range slogfests for the next handful of hours to crown a champion in Roanoke. No mono red or mono white to be found here, that's for sure. Gala Shrine's going to enter the battlefield untapped. And now here's Command the Dreadhorde. So, we might be done right now, possibly. Here comes Teferi. There's a Vraska.
Vraska's really good with Llanowar Elves and such.
You get it.
Yeah.
Llanowar Elves, J-Light Ranger, Merfolk Branchwalker. This card's a hoot.
Mm-hmm.
No real way to gain life right now here for Hobbs, it appears, but paying a lot of life to create an overwhelming battlefield strikes me as something to be happy with.
It's not like he's at risk of getting burned out here, so maybe he goes low, but the resources he generates here should leave him pretty safe.
Yeah, down to 2. A little exploring to be done. Branch Walker going to reveal hero of Precinct 1. Curious if Hobbs wants to let that one go. And it looks like he's going to leave that on top. Untap a couple of lands to spark the Planeswalker. And you know what? Not too shabby.
Not quite a flawless victory, but pretty close.
Yeah. So there goes Tamiyo. And Hobbs explaining everything that was done that turn, which was Teferi went from 5 to 2 from the attack, plus allowed him to draw a card and untap 2 lands afterward, of course. So Thanakit will now begin his turn. He's only got to deal 2 more points of damage.
Yeah, well, he's unfortunately scoring off against a sea of personal Howling Mine / Repulse split cards. I'm not optimistic about his chances of getting that final 2 across.
Commander player Cody Lamore.
Look, it might be tough. It might be tough.
To begin, please make your way back to the side event stage.
Big attack coming.
These are the final points of damage. This Branch Walker looking to sneak on through.
Tuning up the band.
Yeah. Thanakit going to play a Wild Growth Walker pre-combat. And it looks like maybe another one. Yep. And I'll just pass the turn back. So Hobbs is going to untap and draw. Kept Hero of Precinct 1 on top of the deck. And as you mentioned, personal Howling Mines on the battlefield here in Teferi Time Raveler, Teferi Hero of Dominaria, and heck, even Vraska, since there are plenty of permanents to sacrifice. That's a Thought Eraser. Show you a hand with a Hydroid Krasis, a Cast Down, and an Overgrown Tomb. Krasis is going to hit the bin. Not too surprising there, given the options. Surveilling, now drawing is Hobbs. Hobbs will play a Drowned Catacombs. See what else Johnny Hobbs wants to do on this turn. He'll go to Teferi, bounce a Wild Growth Walker, draw another card. Next up, Vraska, kill Wild Growth Walker. That's kind of like drawing a card. Narset is like drawing a card. Planeswalker Party! Othakaya. Riveting.
I know.
Riveting gameplay.
Yep.
Beatdowns now. This is what I came for. Evan Buckholz, you were supposed to save us from this.
He came close.
I know he did.
Some untimely mulligans in the later games.
So I've heard.
So it goes.
Over to Thanakit. Doesn't have a lot going on.
Big draw step coming.
Looking to deal those final 2.
All right. You know what? I know I've implied that I'm a little critical. Thanakit's done a fine job of managing the concessions so far in the top 8.
He's done good.
Played a turn or two, lets it go. You know? That's all right. That's all right.
Jonathan Hobbs wins game number 1 here over Kevin Thanakit. Esper Superheroes up a game over Saltai Dreadhorde. These players are going to take a look at each other's deck list, but not sideboard just yet, because it's not that time just yet. First 2 games pre-sideboarded, the final 3 post-sideboard. So while they work on that, let's talk about your favorite newsletter. It's not my favorite, it's your favorite newsletter. How about that?
Here it is.
It's your source for Magic the Gathering news, too.
The Star City Games newsletter. Your source for Magic the Gathering news, curated by Cedric Phillips, with his impeccable taste and discretion in such matters. Includes a lot of great stuff, including highlights from some of Star City Games' best articles, upcoming SCG Tour dates and locations. You're looking for an IQ, looking for game nights, find all that. And best of all, signing up is free over at go.rcgames.com/newsletter.
Well done. Brian Gottlieb on that newsletter just got top 4 in a legacy event here.
For a Ruby.
Won a Mox Ruby. That must be nice.
So out here making his ends.
I'd like to have a Mox Ruby one day.
Used to have one. Let it go too soon. Like to walk that sail back.
That means ever.
Yeah.
You just hang on to those.
It was beta.
Oof.
I know. I know.
Oof.
I know.
I'm sorry, man. I am sorry. We're underway. It might be Atlanta where Elves kick things off. All right. Now this is the game that's interesting. Kevin on the play with Atlanta where Elves, which means men acceleration is in his favor. Can he take advantage so that pressuring Planeswalkers will be easy?
Yep. You can see, even in the first game where his start wasn't bad on that front, he still didn't get enough of a battlefield there to get out in front of the Planeswalkers. Now with Atlanta War Elves, a Branch Walker, Jade Light on top.
He's going to keep that. Well, I want as many I want to play as many creatures as I can because I'm playing against a deck that doesn't have main deck sweepers, and it is very centralized around Planeswalkers and this card, of course, the Hero of Precinct 1. We might be able to shake the world here. Actually, this is the kind of start that I'm not sure Hobbs' deck is well equipped to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this is much like we saw in Game 1, just in reverse.
Mm-hmm. Here comes Branch Walker. And at Hinterland Harbor, that's a 3/3. Better than Hero of Precinct 1. And for Hobbs, he doesn't have mana acceleration at all. So he just has to play every turn and every game pretty honestly.
Yep, and from here, I mean, this is, in many ways, kind of an ideal start. I mean, the Hero into Teferi and, bounce a thing. You'd like to think that this draw would be acceptable on the draw, but Thanakit with about as explosive a draw as his deck is capable of producing. And Hobbs, I think, is going to be struggling to manage the battlefield, his own life total, preserving his Planeswalkers. All going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. So Hobbs is going to bounce at Hinterland Harbor. I think he might be thinking about attacking a little bit here to slow down Nissa a touch.
Well, I can't imagine that he's planning on blocking with the Hero. And there's not, it seems very challenging for him to protect his Teferi. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of value in trying in the first place, so might as well.
Well, there's your attack. We'll go back over to Kevin Thanakit. Thanakit going to replay that Hinterland Harbor as the first order of business, and now we'll see how he wants to move forward. Thus far in this top 8, Kevin has navigated some very nice games. His last match against Collins Mullen didn't get the opportunity to do so in the last game as he was overwhelmed pretty quickly. But there are some decisions that he made here, and he's had a great start.
And this is
his fourth turn.
And this is one of those, you're way ahead, slow down and evaluate. You should have the tools from here to be in the driver's seat. No need to rush.
One would think so. Branch Walker, Hinterland Harbor, they're lining up for attacks now. Probably finish off this Teferi.
I don't know. I think Hobbs is at 14, and that Teferi is not going to be worth very much next turn. Might just try to run Hobbs down here.
Yeah, looking to give some beatdowns, huh? Well, we'll find out where these are going here in just a moment. Looks like they might just be going over at Hobbs.
Modern Championship players.
Welcome to round 5. You have 50 minutes.
And it appears as though they are. Now he's tapping a bunch of mana as Thanakit, so 4, 5, 6, so this might be 7 mana for a large Hydroid. Yeah. It's a heck of a follow-up after that big attack. So X is going to be 5. Still means that 2 cards and 2 life are on the way, but you want to talk about ideal starts. I think he's had it every step of the way, has Kevin Thanakit. We're going to head back over to John Hobbs now. He'll very eloquently move up that Teferi.
With a flourish.
Yes. Basilica Bellhaunt now. Forcing Thanakit to discard Llanowar Elves. Another token there from the hero of Precinct 1 and going to pass the turn back. Basilica Bellhaunt does do a nice job against the lands that Nissa will generate into 3/3 creatures, though no real clear answer at this point to the Hydroid Crisis.
Hobbs with a pretty good spot here on the ground. A 3/4 to outclass the 3/3s and 1/1 to chump block the bigger stuff. Gives him a lot of flexibility on the blocks. No answer to the Crisis just yet. But if Thanakit doesn't have a good turn here, and Hobbs can follow up with Teferi Hero Dominaria, might be able to start to wiggle his way back into this one. The 3/4 is very good here. If that gets tagged with a removal spell, though, Hobbs' battlefield is going to collapse into short order. It's really leaning on that 3/4 to protect him from Thanakit's supply of ground creatures.
Well, here's Jadelight Ranger to begin. Top card's Water Grave, that'll go to the hand. Next one is Hinterland Harbor, so that will go to the hand. Jadelight Ranger drawing Thanakit 2 cards on a 2/1 body for 3 mana. Thanakit trying to decide what land he'd like to play this turn. Little unsure, but it's going to be a Hinterland Harbor. Now this is another Jadelight Ranger because there was a mana floating. Assassin's Trophy does seem like a pretty nice one here. Can be an answer to any problem. Going to leave that one on top. Jadelight Ranger is going to become a 4/3. Now Nis is going to untap this Hinterland Harbor. Looks like it might be time to get into the red zone here again.
Well, you can safely do it with the Crisis. I'm not that enamored with attacking on the ground just yet. Because Hobbs just has so many good chump blocks.
Well, you may not be, but Kevin is. I think Kevin's getting in here with everybody. Well, let's do some blocking. Block 1. Looks like everything's going at Hobbs. Block a Llanowar Elves there. Block a land. Block a Branch Walker, maybe. Hobbs line them up, maybe thinking double block.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to make inroads on the battlefield, the way that Hobbs has it lined up here is as well as you're going to do. 3/4 in front of 3/3, 2/2 in front of 1/1, and 1/1's in front of bigger stuff to keep your life total high.
Or maybe you split the difference here. Take 6, fall down to 5. Eliminate a few things off of the battlefield, which is what Hobbs was able to do. So now Hobbs is looking to untap here and figure out if he can make a way to stabilize next turn, which would be his 5th of the game.
Also good for Thanakit to be pressuring Hobbs here because it takes Command the Dreadhorde out of the equation too.
Which is important. That was a game-winning card last game. This is a Narset, Parter Avails. Hobbs will take a look at the top couple of cards. The Whiff. I think with Narset, it's at a random order on the bottom. We'll take a look at Narset. I think that's exactly what our table spotter has pointed out to Jonathan. Some cards you get to organize them how you want on the bottom. Others you have to randomize. I think Narset is the latter. This is a Dispark. Make a token. And it's put the rest in the random order.
Crisis just finishes it off.
Of course, yes, of course. 5 in the air by the Jellyfish Hydra Beast. And we are all tied up here, folks. Jonathan Hobbs, Kevin Thanakit. 1-1 as we get ready here for game number 3, which means we got some sideboards to take a look at. We are going to start with old Jay Hobbs here. The youngster from Marion, Indiana, has got 3 Lyra Dawnbringers, 3 Kaya's Wraths, 2 copies of the Elder Spell, 2 Nightveil Predator, which is an important one in this metagame recently, along with 2 Duresses, 2 Dovin's Vetoes, and a Cry of the Carnarium.
Well, I think generally speaking, you want to have a larger deck post-board, able to play deeper game and having kind of broad answers to everything. The Vetoes, the Duresses, and the Kaya's Wraths all sort of play into that. So does the Elder Spell. So some blend of that stuff. I don't know if you want all of it, but a lot of it.
Other side of things here for Thanakit, 3 Ripjaw Raptors, 2 Thrashing Brontodons, 2 Elder Spells, 2 Negates, 2 Duresses, a Disdainful Stroke of Rascal's Contempt, a Narset of his own, and a Massacre Girl. Again, I think Thanakit does a nice job of bringing a lot of stuff to the table.
Much the same story here. I think the Disdainful Stroke, the 2 copies of Negate, the 2 Duresses, the Elder Spell, the Rascal's Contempt, the Narset. You want to be mindful of having too many reactive cards because Teferi Time Raveler is so punishing against that stuff. But Thanakit's sideboard is a good blend here of reactive and proactive stuff to bring to the table, and it's all upgrades.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Game number 3 is going to be underway here momentarily. But Matthias Hunt actually had the opportunity to chat with Jonathan Hobbs live on the floor before his match went live about how he felt about it and sideboarding and all that jazz. So we'll let you hear from the young master from Marion, Indiana right now.
Hi, I'm here with Jonathan Hobbs, semifinalist here at the Invitational at SCGCon Summer. Now, I know you have your upcoming match against Kevin Thanakit in the semis. He's playing Sultai Dreadhorde. How do you feel about the matchup?
I think it's pretty good overall. It's pretty close, but I have pretty good ways to gum up the ground, and I have Thought Erasures for his Command the Dreadhorde, so I like the matchup.
Yeah, that's one of the things. You have almost as many copies of Command the Dreadhorde as he does. So going into the post-board games, which are about to start in a second here, how do you switch things up, I guess, in the way the matchup plays?
Well, I'm going to take out most of my creatures. My Basilica Bellhaunts, they don't really pressure his Planeswalker well. He gums up the board well with Explore creatures. And Oath of Kaya is not great. All of his Planeswalkers have a lot of loyalty, and I'm not really trying to 1-for-1 him since all of his creatures have 2-for-1s. So I'm going to be boarding in Duress to fight his Planeswalkers and command the Dreadhorde. Dovin's Veto, same reasons. Elder Spell, great at answering a command the Dreadhorde, and Kaya's Wrath to answer all the mopey guys.
So I know you talked about boarding out some of the creatures, but you didn't mention Hero of Precinct 1. Is that a creature you still want in this matchup?
Yeah, I think it's fine. You can sometimes lose to the random Explore creatures if they go like Wild Growth into Jadelight, and it's your best way to gum up the board. So like it kind of acts like a Kaya's Wrath in the matchup, where it's just gonna like answer their creatures.
So out of his sideboard, I know he's got a lot of counter spells that he can go to. Are those things you worry about? Do you have to play around them? Are there certain, or do you just kind of let them happen and whatever they counter is what they counter?
Well, like, there's this great part about Standard where, like, there's 4 Teferi Time Ravelers in my deck. So, like, hopefully I don't have to care about it.
All right. Well, best of luck going forward in these post-board games. Let's head back to the match.
There's young man Johnny Hobbs getting ready for game number 3 is the 19-year-old. A young age, the future.
The present future of American
That's
Magic.
right.
Not to be confused with the past futures of American Magic.
Because he is the future. And the future is iconic.
Don't know the reference.
Huh. You will. You will. I'm disappointed in you. But you'll know the reference. Later tonight, I'll introduce you to the Iconics, who are, by the way, the WWE Women Tag Team Champions.
Okay.
Okay. Longest reigning, thank you, voice in my ear. A Duress. A very powerful card. You see, the kid's got skill. He likes the Urza Saga version.
Yep.
He's got a little moxie.
Some respect for history.
That's right. That card seriously might be older than him. The Elder Spell.
Yeah, I think so.
Assassin's Trophy Tameo.
How old is Hobbs?
19.
Yeah, because Saga came out in 99, I think. Yeah.
Hydroid Crisis, Merfolk Branchwalker Forest, and a Woodland Cemetery. No blue mana right now for Kevin. It's an old piece of cardboard right there. Hobbs thinking about this decision pretty long and hard, making sure he gets this one right. It's going to obviously set the paces for the rest of the game. Tameo's going to bite the dust. Even though Kevin Thanakit doesn't have blue mana right now, you have to imagine he'll find some over the course of the next handful of turns.
Yeah, the other issue is, the other spell in his hand that's threatening is very expensive, really far away from being able to get to that. And the Assassin's Trophy is not the most threatening card for Thanakit to have early on in the game. So Tameo's kind of in this middle ground of being threatening but achievable.
Oh, this is awkward.
What's up?
Drowned Catacombs on turn 1. To cast Duress. I think that's what we're talking about right now. It's going to be tough to do that.
Power move. Put him down as another in the line of past futures of American Magic. Get this resolved shortly.
I imagine we will. We have a head judge right there. Red stripes. Red stripes. Yikes. What kind of soda is that? What kind of tasty? I don't even know how you're supposed to resolve this. Apparently this was turn 2. Oh, I guess Hobbs. Yeah, Hobbs went first.
Okay.
Standard Summer Championship players, if you were still making your way.
Some confusion about whether or not Hobbs passed the turn back. Did he
Okay.
make a second land drop here? Did
Okay.
Thanakit draw extras?
I don't think. No, it was not drawing extras.
Are you kidding me? I got a game loss playing for the top 8 at the Grand Prix in 2001. You want to know? You want to hear a power move?
By you?
No, my opponent. The rules were different back in the day.
Bring it in. Let's tell the
For
people
all
the
of
story.
those of you who want to hear about how draconian Magic's rules enforcement used to be, playing for Grand Prix top 8 against Gary Wise.
Hall of Famer. Gary
Hall
Wise.
of Famer Gary Wise.
Yeah.
Plays a Daru Cavalier on turn 4.
Most people don't know what that is.
It's a 2/2 first striker for 4. Enters the battlefield. Search your deck for any number of copies of this card. Put them in your hand. Squadron Hawk style design.
Sure.
I take my turn. Next turn. Gary attacks me. He plays another Daru Cavalier. This is 4 mana. I untap and draw a card. He goes, wait, I wasn't done with my turn. Plays his 5th land. Game loss for drawing extra cards.
You?
Yes. Yeah, Gary ran it up the flagpole to see if it would stick, and it did. So that was a game loss. It was the game after I was at 2 and it didn't shock me to lose.
Wait, that happened against you?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How have you never told me that story?
It's pretty well known. So
I know the story. I didn't know it was against you.
So this is the match, right? So he attacks me low in game 1
Yeah.
and says go. He's got red white up. Plains in the mountain. So I go attack you with 3. He's at 6, and I go attack you with my 3 2/2s. He's got no blockers back.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, I guess I gotta go for it. He cycles a secluded step, which was like kind of weird. He didn't do it on his own turn because like his turn was complicated.
Yeah,
he could have
sure.
drawn something that would have mattered.
Sure.
He goes, draws his card. He goes, luckiest player alive, and drops the shock on the table. Taps it with his red. And I go, in spirit, whichever creature you target. because I'm attacking for exactly the. So in spirit, it's +2/+4. I'm like, I'll in spirit whichever one you target. And he goes, all right, I lose. So we're showing up for game 2. I got some nerves, right? I'm like 20 years old, and I don't want to say nothing about it. And Gary looks down at his life total, and he goes, with a game like that, a game that close, you wonder if there's something different you could have done. So at this point, of course, I can't help myself, and I go, well, I was at 2, you could have shocked me. So Gary's apoplectic. Star City Games, now head of sales, I believe, Glenn Blyweiss is typing up the feature match.
Right there.
And he's typing like 50 words a minute, right? Doing it, or 70 words a minute. He's a fast typer doing the feature match. And Gary is very upset after I mentioned that I was at 2 and he shot the creature of mine. So Gary has a reaction to it, and then Ben's going like 100 words a minute, and there's 3 people over him, over Ben's shoulder reading core, now in hysterics.
Sure.
And Gary goes, super unprofessional, tries to kick Blyweiss out. He's like, it's super unprofessional of you to be doing whatever you're doing right now. Tries to kick Blyweiss out.
Typing up the report.
Game 2 just gets me a Bush League game loss, game number 2, and then game number 3 I win in top 8. It's great.
Boom.
It's great.
Another one for the good guys.
Ran up the flagpole.
Right.
Wanted to see.
Now we got to find out what this ruling is.
Just ran it over the Keystone Cops, trying to say that I drew extra cards, and they were like, "Yes, sir, he absolutely did. This kid's clearly cheating."
Get him out of here.
Got me.
Get him out of my tournament.
Fortunately,
right.
game 3 locked him out with Orification. Dirge dreaded him. Killed him on a clunky battlefield.
Just said 2 cards. I don't even know what they do.
Orification is an enchantment for 4. White 2.
Yeah.
If an opposing creature hits you, it basically becomes it's like No Mercy. Do you know No Mercy?
Yeah, when you deal a creature, it just dies when it deals you damage.
It's No Mercy that you can unlock.
Okay.
Like the creature's deaded, but if you blow up the Orification, then they're all back.
Okay.
And then Dirge of Dread is
Fear.
Your team has Fear, or you can cycle to get 1 thing Fear.
Yeah, I know that one.
Anyways, that's my rule story from when I was 19, connected back to Hobbs. Waiting on that ruling in a moment.
We are.
Drawing extra cards. That's what they called it back in the day, drawing extra cards.
Gotcha. No, I never did that.
Thanakit, back in the day, if it was 2001, he'd be in handcuffs right now. He'd be escorted out of the Berglund Center.
Ooh, this is a fun ruling.
There you go.
Hobbs passed the turn without playing a second land. Not great. Let's go back and see what happens next. Oh boy, look at the graphics change.
Wow.
The past of future Magic now. The past of American Magic, Jonathan Hobbs. It all changes quickly.
Yo, I might not be as good as Hobbs. I will play my second land.
That's true. That's all right.
Back to the action.
Branch Walker finds a land.
Blue mana.
Was missing before, has it now. Over to Hobbs. He'll draw. Second land, Glacial Fortress, enters the battlefield, tapped. Over to Thanakit. In for 2. Hobbs down to 18. Breeding Pool tapped. I can't believe you were the shock person.
Yeah, of course.
It's outrageous. Thought eraser. The Elder Spell, Hydroid Crisis, Disdainful Stroke, Vraska, a Forest, and a Hinterland Hobbs.
I mean, jury's kind of out here on how much the Vraska matters, although it is a good proactive play next turn. Same is true of Hydroid Crisis. And I suppose that will be Hobbs' selection here.
Going to leave that card on top. Isolated Chapel, enter the battlefield, tap. We're going back over to Kevin Thanakit. In for 2, Hobbs down to 16. Big follow-up. Jade Light Ranger, 2 triggers. Command the Dreadhorde is 1. It is one of the most powerful cards in the matchup. It's going to stay on top twice, pardon me. And now there's the Hinterland Harbor that enters the battlefield untapped, and we're going to go back over to Hobbs, whose all of his lands are slowly entering the battlefield. There's another one. Isolated Chapel. He'll pass. Over to Kevin. It's beatdowns again. Tyrant Scorn is going to try to take care of this J-Light Ranger. We'll see if this works.
This is pretty good news for Thanakit, as it likely represents that Hobbs does not have a Kaya's Wrath, and he's pretty safe to keep deploying creatures if he wants to.
Remember, Hobbs has 3 Kaya's Wraths in his sideboard. Disdainful Stroke at the ready here for Thanakit. I guess the question is which spell is going to get Disdainful Stroke. It looks like none of them, because here's a Thought Eraser.
Yeah, you got to be careful overloading on too many reactive cards against Esper. They can strip the ones that are timely with Thought Erasure, and Teferi Time Raveler does a lot of damage to a wide range of counterspells here. So even though in these kind of control-ish matchups you usually want to go bigger and try to play for a longer game, post-board, still a burden to be proactive in these games for a variety of reasons, at least on Thanakit's side.
The Elder Spell, Command the Dread Horde among the cards in hand there for Thanakit. So he's got some powerful black cards in the grip, as here comes an attack for 2. Hobbs is going to fall down to 12. Let's see what's coming up next. Nothing here for Thanakit. So Hobbs will untap those 2 lands and draw a card. He's looking for land number 5. I think he found it in Watery Grave. Took a Disdainful Stroke, which means the path is clear for a Planeswalker to get a little bit of work done. You see there's a 5-mana Teferi over there in hand for Hobbs. There's Watery Grave untapped. Here is 5-mana Teferi. That's going to resolve, I believe.
I mean, if you drew a negate, I would play it here.
Don't want to get too fancy. Teferi going to plus to draw a card. Got it. Assassin's Trophy at the ready here for Kevin. Teferi's going to untap a couple of lands here for Hobbs in a moment. But we may see Kevin Assassin's Trophy this Teferi while the shields are completely down.
Well, I mean, especially if you have... well, I guess the alternative line is Assassin's Trophy your own thing to guarantee Command the Dread Horde the following turn.
Though no guarantee it will resolve.
Exactly. That's the risk. If you get hit with Dovin's Veto there, then it's all over.
There is an Assassin's Trophy. Hobbs going to search up a basic land. He'll, of course, get to untap 2 lands with his Teferi so long as he remembers that trigger, which I think he did, and there it is. And now we go back over to Kevin. Keep in mind the basic that he searched for with Assassin's Trophy, that beautiful Plains, and there's the battlefield untapped given the rules text on the Assassin's Trophy. Here comes the old Branch Walker. Hobbs going to fall down to 8.
Yeah, you want to make that one untapped because it can target lands.
This is a Woodland Cemetery. It's land 6. Here's Command the Dread Horde number 1. This is almost certainly not resolving. There is Dovin's Veto to take care of that powerful sorcery. So we're going back over to Johnny Hobbs. What's he got next? He's got Teferi Time Raveler. He's going to bounce the Merfolk Branch Walker and draw a card. And wants to make sure he taps his mana correctly. Looks like he did. It's a Narset. 1-2. What do you do? Narset's going to enter the battlefield. Down to 3. Top couple of cards. Hobbs going to pick one of them. He found a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. From nothing to something, everybody. From 0 Planeswalkers to about to be 3.
The cantrip Planeswalker yielded a cantrip Planeswalker, which yielded another cantrip Planeswalker.
Are we all having a good time?
And now he's up a lot of cards at a low opportunity cost. Those extra cards can be leveraged, eventually converted into a win.
Branch Walker is not as good now. Drawn Catacomb's going to go to the hand, it looks like, from that Explore trigger. Elder Spell. See you later, Planeswalkers. Overgrown 2 minutes of battlefield tapped. We're going back over to John Hobbs. He got 2 for 1 there, but he did some nice work previously. Here's a Hero Precinct 1. That's a Teferi. Trigger. Make a token. Good. Teferi. Gun up plus, I believe. It starts at 4. It's up to 5. Draw a card. Godless Shrine. Enters the battlefield tapped. Assassin's Trophy is going to kill it with the untapped trigger on the stack. Hobbs is going to get to search up another basic.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the issues with Esper Superheroes. As much card advantage as you're capable of generating, spots like this you are likely to flood out. You don't have a thing like Krasis to dump all of your mana into when the game plays this deep. Also at 20-8, if Thanakit draws a copy of Command of the Dreadhorde, it's going to blow the game wide open. Hobbs' would still be good, but no guarantee that it completely buries Thanakit.
That is a Vraska to kill a hero of Precinct 1. Back over to Hobbs. He's got a copy of the Elder Spell in hand. Also has a copy of Kaya's Wrath in a land.
Yeah, but these are not the most exciting trades here.
I was thinking maybe he felt he would need to Elder Spell this Vraska because Vraska can generate a bit of card advantage. But electing to save the Elder Spell for maybe
Bad news.
Bad news indeed.
Not that Vraska by itself produces a runaway, but coast is clear here for Thanakit to start leveraging his own personal Halley Mine. And remember, at this point, if he is able to find Command the Dreadhorde, then I think it's all over.
I think it is certainly over. Tameo the draw. It's starting to get bad now. Tameo can get back the Command the Dreadhorde that I believe is in the graveyard, or plus to find one. So this game is changing on a dime here for both players.
Yeah, Hobbs has 2 copies of Duress. Not even, well, he's already played the 1 here. So I think this is a pretty safe play here because he's got more removal for Planeswalkers than he has ways to get the card out of your hand.
Hobbs had one heck of a sequence there with the Teferi into Narset into Teferi, but Kevin was able to clear the way for a Command the Dreadhorde, and Hobbs already knows the writing is on the wall. He is going to concede the game and get refocused in this match after that slight mishap on turn number 2.
Was looking pretty good there, but Thanakit was able to play catch up there with the Elder Spell, and as will happen in these games, even if you go Teferi draw a card, and it looks like you're up all these cards, if the game goes on long enough, you kind of give it back by all the extra mana that you have that you can't do anything with, and that's what happened to Hobbs. And the deck has to play a lot of lands because you do want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your land drops, but if the game goes on for a real long time, I think Thanakit has more haymakers in the deck to draw to than Hobbs does, and that's what we saw in game number 3.
Well, it looks like both players are going to take a moment to step away and get ready for game number 4 as Kevin Thanakit has taken the lead here over Jonathan Hobbs. Hobbs will be on the play for game number 4, and since they're stepping away, we will too. See you back here in just a bit. All right, our break's over. Hobbs and Thanakit's break is over. Now they're getting ready here for game number 4. Life's good here on the SCG Tour. How you feeling over there, shock guy?
How am I feeling? Oh, no, that was a long time ago.
That moment would never stop being sweet for me. What was the card that you cast? +2, +4, what was it called?
In spirit.
Yeah, I can see the picture.
+2, +4, and untap.
Untap a creature. Yeah, I can see the picture in my head right now.
Yeah, so can I.
Whatever you shock, untap it, it's not dead.
Yeah, I'll inspire whichever creature you shock. All right, I lose.
Must be nice to have the trick
Yeah.
there.
That would also probably be considered an angle shoot in 2019.
The in spirit?
Target whichever one you shock.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe, I don't know. But
I do it for the culture.
I do it because I'm here to win. Play to win. Jay Hobbs down a game, going to play game number 4. Let's learn a little more about him. I think he's wearing that shirt right now. We'll have to confirm in a minute. 19 years old from Marion, Indiana. 9 opens played, 1 open top 8 last year. He's got 3 open top 8s on the resume. He's really good at losing in the finals, unfortunately. I hope that doesn't happen to him this weekend. Loves theater and doing improv. And let me check that. Okay, I got the button up here. Let's check the button up in the feature match area. Did he bring his lucky button up? Ting.
Yeah.
Though, it looks as though maybe one more button undone. Feeling it. Confident. Hair's a little different, too. I like the hair over the eye look.
Mm-hmm.
Something that my hair does not allow for me to do.
Yeah, same.
That
Yeah, I know that.
because I'm kind of an emo guy at heart, so if I could do that with my hair, I would.
Mm-hmm.
I would, but I can't. My hair is just I don't even know how you Brillo pad. Just doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't do anything. Maybe should I throw it out? Think I could put the headset on?
I think it is extremely unwise for me to comment on such matters.
I'm kind of setting you up to step in a trap.
Yeah, I'm not that dumb, man. You gotta wait to do a show with Todd Anderson. He would offer up an opinion, I'm sure.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would.
Come on.
Big fro.
I've been around the block enough to know. I sense it. I can smell the trap.
Yep. Set. Still
wafting.
There. It's still there. Kaya's Wrath, among other cards in hand here for Jonathan Hobbs. Hero of Precinct 1. I think I see a Duress. There's the first land. Drowned Catacomb. Uh-oh, another Duress from the other side here for Kevin? How lucky. Kaya's Wrath, Thought Eraser, Duress, Hero of Precinct 1, and no white mana for Jay Hobbs.
Yeah, I would take the Thought Eraser here, cut him off the Surveil.
Well, can't play Thought Eraser next turn.
Doesn't matter.
All Drowned Catacombs.
Doesn't matter to me. Unless you're following up with a spell on turn 2, who cares? He's going to get something good out of your hand regardless, and the Surveil is so high leverage here. I should say, if you have the other Duress in your hand, then it's different. Then you go back to back. But his hand is so sketchy here that, first of all, the Thought Eraser is probably just the most powerful card in absolute terms, but a Surveil is worth so much on a hand like this.
Well, you're going to take a Duress. Will Hobbs peel an untapped white source? That is the question. As Thanakit is at 18, bye-bye. Well, it's a Watery Grave, so it should be 18 all. And let's see. I see an Assassin's Trophy, a Tameo, a Merfolk Branchwalker, a Disdainful Stroke, and a couple of lands here in Breeding Pool.
Well, now
and Woodland Cemetery.
Consider me now perplexed about the decision here with the Duress on the first turn, because not only do you not have another Duress to follow up with, he gets to Surveil. He also had the opportunity to take your Merfolk Branchwalker, which he couldn't do with Duress.
Well, there is Branchwalker, trigger, another Branchwalker on top.
And it's a small thing, but he was able to Surveil through D-Spart, which is no good here. And Hobbs needs consecutive draw steps to cooperate to be able to get this hand rolling. It's a small thing, but that duress might really come back to sting Thanakit.
Let's go back over to Hobbs. White Source, Tyrant Spark. Castable at least. In. Now Hobbs might think, I let this thing hit me so that I can play Hero Precinct 1 and Tyrant Scorn in the same turn, but instead, it looks like he's just going to kill this 3-2.
I mean, he has to broadly be concerned with preserving his life total in the short term because, you know, he might take some bumps along the way to get off the ground. And in the long term, you want to keep your life total high to allow Command the Dread Horde to be good.
And I do apologize. That was not a disdainful stroke. It was actually a copy and negate. That one's on me, so I apologize to you lovely viewers and listeners at home. Negate taking care of the Tyrant Scorn to allow the Merfolk Branchwalker to keep attacking, which I'm sure it's going to do once again. So Hobbs is going to fall down to 12. See what comes next here for Kevin, who is trying to do a little aggro here to get this game over with. It's another Branchwalker. That's an Assassin's Trophy. That one, where's it headed?
It is a really powerful, and it's not very good right now, but it is a very powerful insurance policy against any of Hobbs' best draws.
Assassin's Trophy is going to stay on top. This is a land that will allow for another Branchwalker. This Assassin's Trophy is going to go to the graveyard. 3 3-2s. Tyrant Scorn the draw.
Yeah, interesting there. So Thanakit really put a premium on guarantee. He didn't want the Assassin's Trophy, but he did want to guarantee that his Branchwalker be a 3-2. I'm guessing to minimize the amount of blocking that tokens off of the Hero of Precinct 1 can generate.
What I do find interesting there is that Thanakit was willing to play all those Branchwalkers against an opponent that does have a Kaya's Wrath in hand, hope they don't draw another white source.
Or even if he does, then, you know, that's his whole hand.
Yep.
And now we're playing out the top of our deck, except that, you know, Hobbs has very little to work with. You're probably drawing heavier than he is.
Here's another copy of Tyrant Scorn. Going to take care of a Branchwalker.
And you know, we've seen Thanakit now do this, you know, kind of back-to-back in these matches of he is ostensibly a control deck, and he does have a long game, but in these matchups, he is kind of the beatdown deck. He does want to keep the pressure going.
Another Branchwalker. Nissa is on top of the deck now. Not sure if Thanakit has land number 5 or not, but
he does. And last card is Assassin's. I believe it is an Assassin's Trophy.
I believe you are correct. Suppose he could always Assassin's Trophy his own.
No, then he has to
Nope,
shuffle. Then he has to shuffle.
Then he has to shuffle also.
He can draw the Nissa next turn, and then he has that line of play. He doesn't have it right now.
I also don't think you can Assassin's Trophy your own stuff. There are your blocks. Got to do some blocking. There's some inevitability here, though.
Yeah.
Because if Kevin were to draw a land, he could do the thing with the Nissa. But Hobbs could not find a land for the Kaya's Wrath or anything else, and Kevin Thanakit's going to win this match here over Jonathan Hobbs.